Hey, what's up YouTube? Double Odd Josh coming at you guys today, wishing you a happy new year. Well, if you're in California, it might not be so happy after all. We've got some pretty asinine gun laws about to kick in starting this year and only getting worse as time goes on. But anyway, as you can see in front of you, I've got a complete lower, a 1030 magazine, and a bullet, and that's the topic of this video. Like, what the hell is this? Well, you might ask, like, what are you talking about? And this has to do with our revised assault weapon ban coming up here. As a quick summary, and I'm probably not going to do justice to the subject, but when you look at the history of quote-unquote assault weapons in California, it began back in the early 90s. And again, I probably might get some of this a little bit wrong or a little bit off, so feel free to say what you want down in the comments below and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but it began back in the early 90s, I believe, when certain firearms were banned by name. For example, the DPMS Panther Arms is banned by name, but the DPMS Oracle is not. So it's fine for you to have a DPMS Oracle in California, but if you have one with Panther Arms stamped on it, it's somehow magically now an assault weapon. Anyway, getting back on topic, so that was back in the early 90s. Then we had another revised assault weapons ban at the turn of the century around the year 2000. And that's what started banning things like, your pistol grips, your telescoping stocks, your adjustable stocks, things like that, vertical forearm grips. And it affected long rifles, shotguns, and pistols. And so today I'm just going to limit it to long rifles, as you see in front of you here. Basically what it said is if you have anything like a pistol grip or a forward pistol grip or telescoping stock and a readily detachable magazine, that was now considered an assault weapon. And so when somebody did was they read through the law and they realized, a readily detachable magazine. Maybe we can get around that. And that's how the bullet button was born. So this is a bullet button. And for you guys out there who are not familiar with what that means, it means when you insert a magazine, and this is a 1030, this is not a 30 rounder, because if you did that, if you inserted a 30 rounder like I have now, that's a felony. And I don't know about you, but recording yourself doing felonies on camera and then putting them up on YouTube's kind of stupid in my opinion. But anyway, getting back on topic. So as you can see, you can push this with your finger all you want all day long. It's not dropping out of there. So what you need is some kind of tool, be it a bullet or a pen or anything. You go up here and that's how you drop the mag. Okay, so when we flash forward to, what was that, 2015 or 2016, when the San Bernardino shootings happened. During that, the shooters were using, I believe, bullet button equipped rifles for the shootings, and that's pretty much what led to them getting banned. Shitty, I know, but it is what it is. With the laws that came in, they pretty much what it said is if you obtain anything like this, like what I have in front of you, and if you're wondering what this is exactly, this is a BCM lower. I paid about $400, $450 for it, and I obtained it around November or December of 2016. And yeah, it was a panic buy, I'll own it, whatever. You now have a few options. If you're in my shoes, this is the only one I own, so I have to figure out what I'm going to do with it. So my understanding is you have a few options about what to do with it. The first thing is you can keep this, but you'll have to register it as an assault weapon under the California DOJ. Okay, I don't want to do that. In fact, under the original law, you were required to have done that by December 31st of last year, 2017. But here's the thing, they extended the law. And when you watch these YouTube videos, always be careful about just taking people's word for it, word for anything. Always do your own research. And the reason, I know that they extended the deadline is here's the California DOJ website. Let me go ahead and pull it up in front of you. Okay, here it all is. And as you can see, here's the countdown right in front of you. So you still have 25 weeks, 5 days, 2 hours, 30 minutes, and 19 seconds left to register something like this as an assault weapon. I'm not a fan of that. for multiple reasons. I'm not going to make this video all political and everything like that, but I'm not a fan of having a registered assault weapon in my name. The first thing is, I've heard that it's going to be, if you ever want to sell something like this and it's registered as an assault weapon, it's going to be a real pain in the ass. I have no idea what the laws are involved, but I heard it's going to be very hard to transfer this. Likewise, I hope I have a son one day, and I hope that I could pass along all my guns to him. I don't think that would be possible with a registered assault weapon. I don't believe you can just pass that on to next of kin. I don't think I could be wrong, but anyway, the other thing is, I don't know if they're going to publish everybody's name online of who owns these. If you're trying to change career paths and you're trying to go in for interviews or you're doing stuff like that, and let's say somebody Googles your name and they see you're the owner of a registered assault weapon, people are so judgmental in California about that kind of thing that I would say, hey, it's probably not even worth it. That will hurt your reputation. And I hate to say that, but it is what it is. It's just a very anti-gun state, and you might just want to be careful about that. Again, that's kind of like a conjecture. I don't know if they would publish your name online, but it will be in an additional database. And what I mean by that is, so when I bought this back in 2016, it's now registered with the DOJ. So my name is attached to the serial number. Where is it? This one right over here. If ATF or any other law enforcement agency look that up, my name's attached to that, and I'm 100% responsible for this. If I get this registered as an assault weapon, it's then additional registration, and I'm just not a fan of that. And so that's one option, is you can register this as an assault weapon. The next option is you can go and take this out of state. So you can go drive it over to Arizona, or if you own property in another state, you can just go and drop it off over there. That's your next option. The next option is you can change this into a featureless rifle. And that's actually where I'm going to be going with this. That website, maybe I shouldn't show my password on camera. Okay. So as you can see, we got this countdown going. What I plan on doing is enjoying this until the countdown ends, and then I'll be switching this over into a featureless rifle so that I can keep it and hold on to it. That's my game plan. Okay, so let's say you don't want to do any of those. You don't want to register it, you don't want to drive it out of state, you don't want to take it down to a featureless rifle. The next thing you can do is hand it over to a police department. And I'm not knocking anybody that wants to do that. Okay, hey, if that means you not getting a felony, go and do that. I fully support that. But for someone like me, I dropped $400 into this. I'm not, at least 400. I think it was more like 450 for this. To go and hand it over for like $100 gift card, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, so that's your next option. The last option is, if you don't do any of those things, you're now facing a criminal charge. It sucks. It is what it is. But, as an adult, you need to make that decision. You can, if you do nothing by the deadline, now you're in possession of an assault weapon. You might do some time in jail or prison, or, I have no idea what would happen. And I don't want to find out. I'm a law-abiding citizen through and through. Every man and woman needs to make these decisions for themselves. All right, guys. And the last thing I want to say is, does this kind of remind anybody else of when they were younger and they had their mom or dad give them till the count of 5 to comply? Does anybody else remember that? Like, let's say you're being a total brat and you weren't doing what your parents told you to do, and your mom or your dad was just like, you have until the count of 5 or else you got disciplined. That's kind of what this reminds me of. This countdown thing, it's kind of like adding insult to injury, or it's like kind of like a slap in the face. They could have just put the date on there, and everybody should know what the date is. And I don't know, it's almost like a ticking time bomb or something. It's so overboard. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end this, but as always, thanks for watching, subscribing, and have a good night. And I don't know about you, but recording yourself doing felonies on camera and then putting them up on YouTube's kind of stupid, in my opinion.